In this video, I'll show you how I used the tkinter package to create a canvas and capture mouse inputs from the user. When you open up the theremin.py script, you notice that the program is structured as a class called Theremin, which is a common structure used for programs that use tkinter to generate a GUI. There are several methods that make up the class. Looking down here, we have a calcfreq, calcvolume, and a sinewave helper method. All of these will be discussed in the next video. But above them, there are three methods called mouse move, mouse down, and mouse up, which we'll examine in this video. Those are what are called in response to user inputs from the mouse. Now, to begin though, let's look at the init constructor method. It begins by initializing several class variables. The pre variable will store the previous location of the mouse, which the program will use when it has to draw the line. We'll see how that's done later. The sound variable will store the sound waveform to play, and this sound on variable will act as a state flag to determine whether or not the sound is on. This basically means whether or not the user has the mouse pressed down. After creating those variables, we take the top level TK window, which is passed to the constructor as the parameter called master, and we configure it to be full screen. Next, I use the tkinter canvas method to create a canvas widget, and I use the pack geometry manager to place it on the window and expand it to fill the entire space. I also add this line of text down at the bottom to the canvas, and that's what lets the user know to press escape to exit the program. Now, the next four lines are a very important part of the program that makes it work. I use the bind command to listen for events when the user uses their mouse to interact with that master window. When the user moves their mouse, it'll trigger this motion event. The program will then execute the mouse move handler. If they press a button, it'll trigger the button press event, and that'll cause the program to execute the mouse down handler. And when they release the button or let go of that mouse button, it'll trigger the button release event, and then it'll execute the mouse up handler. Finally, when they press the escape key, it'll trigger this escape event, and when that happens, I'll exit the program by using the destroy method on the main window. When each of these events occur and call their respective methods, they'll pass an event object as an argument to the method, which contains information about the event that just occurred. You notice that each of the mouse move, mouse up, and mouse down handlers have input parameters for this event object. However, the destroy method does not have an input parameter, so that's why I used a lambda function here to catch that argument, which it tries to pass to the function, and then I drop it and actually call the function without any arguments. So now let's open up the event handlers real quick to see how you can use those event objects. I'm going to open up the mouse move method. In it, you can see several examples of how I index out the X and Y values from that event object. These values will be the X and Y location where the mouse event occurred, and these locations are relative to the widget which triggered the event. And in this case, we use the bind method on the master window, so the XY coordinates are relative to the master window. Coordinates are described from the top left corner of the widget with positive X values to the right and positive Y values increasing downwards. In the next video, I'll show you how I used these X and Y coordinates to calculate the pitch and volume of the sound to play, as well as the color to paint the canvas.